about those learning groups and other quite relevant topics for you. So it will be quite high paced, so lots of content we need to go over. I will try to answer the questions if I can, but pretty often that's not the case. I just leave it for the sessions which we have afterwards for the questions. And we're also going to talk about the alternative sources. So no worries, you will get lots of places and opportunities to find answers to whatever you need to know about this particular certification journey. The idea is that you lay back in your chair now and just listen for 2.5 hours today and also tomorrow. And then we will be over with step 1 and progress further with the other steps. So it's basically this is not. Let's say that the idea of this academy is that we have. It can be a bit boring for people who do this for many years. The idea is that we have people who have no experience with the extension suite or very little experience with the extension suite, informed and equipped enough to be able to do basic things with the academy. So we're going to talk about what's the idea of the learning journey in a bit more details afterwards. But let's say that it's basic level of the extension suite, fundamentals. And the idea is not that we go into intricacies and details, but it's that we have people informed enough about technologies so they can do their job decently. That's the basic proposition. We're going to talk about what's in for SAP in this game, what's in for partners, why do we do this learning journey and not something else. We're going to cover the details. But let's say that just have your level of expectation set for this particular session. So when you get the certificate in the end, it doesn't mean that you have years of experience with SAP Extension Suite. It means that you are equipped enough and trained enough and to get your job in this field decent, which is quite an important step for SAP because with lots of different experiences in the past, some projects were unsuccessful for different reasons when they're unsuccessful. And one of those reasons that we want to eliminate with these academies is that it's been implemented by people who do not have any previous experience with a particular technology, which costs a lot and it's usually impossible to fix in the later phases of the project. Okay, so here we're going to talk about let's do the organizational content bit by bit, and we're progressing toward the technical part at the end. So I myself am not the expert in an extension suite. I'm an architect. I'm just helping the partner enablement organization this year with this particular program. I do many other academies in this series. We're going to talk about those later. We'll talk about what are the other things that you can also enroll with. So it's when it's up to questions, that's what we're going to talk about that later on. So it would be definitely the best that you send it in advance, and I'm going to provide you with my email address because it will be questions from many different areas, operational things about the certificates, something which is the business architecture, things which are purely technical and coding. So pretty easily you will hit some question that I don't know how to answer, and I will need to look for some guy inside of SAP who knows the answer. So whatever you have for those Ask the Expert sessions that we will discuss in the end, the questions, please have it emailed in advance, but we'll get to that one step by step. So here are the basic values of these academies and why do we do it. Expand skills, that's an obvious thing, right? So it's the feature of every learning journey, right? It's not something specific for this one. This thing about enhanced learning, it's that we will try to provide lots of learning channels for you. It's not just that you have to sit these 2.5 hours with myself. If you miss it, then the train has gone and you cannot catch up. That's definitely not the case. You will get the decks in the end, and you will get links for all different sources. It's really multiple sources. You need to select one or two, or maybe a bit more if you have time, and just go use all the content that particular channel offers, and you should be equipped for the certification. We're going to talk about all potential. So this academy is just one of those channels. The content with experts is another good topic. It's not just this academy. It's not just Ask the Expert session that we're going to do after the academies, where you get an extra opportunity to ask myself about what's happening, about certification tests, what do you need to do, things about which are clearly technical. So all those things we're going to discuss, and I will be a proxy toward other SAP people. Those who are responsible for individual areas. And when this finishes, it's not just one Ask the Expert session that you're going to do with myself. It's also other channels that we have inside of SAP where you can post questions afterwards. What follows is something which is labeled free certification. Again, that's a conditional thing. It's not free for everybody. It's free for people who are successful. We're going to talk about details afterwards, but we try to motivate people in many different ways to go with the certificates, and we have partners that we are sure about that they can execute the job. So let's go further. These are some numbers by SAP. So SAP executed investigation, the actual digits. When you put digits on something which is emotional, that's not the exact digit, is not important. This is just for you to understand why we find these academies relevant, and what are the answers that people provided after these academies. So let's say that 20% of the cases it was noticed that people were promoted or get wage increase after they got the SAP certificates. I actually fuse these two with salary increase and push the actual numbers, 28 and 61%. This one is particularly important for myself, that they've stated that their satisfaction with their job, meaning SAP implementations, the exact implementations that I have to do, was even 76% higher when they get trained and they get increased understanding of the exact technologies that they deal with every day. This is a number of the increased respect from peers, what people reported after the sessions. This is very important for myself, working autonomy and independence, so you will not be dependent on senior colleagues and Google that often. So working autonomy and capability that you resolve problems on your own, a couple of searches and experiments, that's the key thing. We don't want to have people blocked with some project implementation issues, then they cannot progress anyhow. So that's what we want to eliminate for sure. And people also reported 91% of increased confidence in their abilities. So this is just the poll that was given to people after these academies, the same that you will get. Here is our timeline. So academy registration, that's something that you've already completed successfully. Live sessions is where we are today. So it's today and tomorrow. It's middle of the night for myself. It should be, I think, somewhere at the start of the day for you guys over there in the APJ zone. So it's 2 times, let's say 3 hours, because it's the standard thing with Extension Suite, especially we always need more time. So we'll go through lots of the content. It's really too many things that we have to cover. And we will try not to do deep dives in details. It's just that we have you informed with all technologies that are of interest for the certification journey. Again, we've chosen something which is, let's say, we had to narrow down the scope of this learning journey. So probably, I mean, there are people with different profiles over here on this call. Some of the guys do ABAP for years. So something like RESTful ABAP programming model, the famous RAP, which is part of the extension suite, would be the natural choice, but that's not the content of this particular learning journey. It's not also things like lots of things fit into the extension suite, like, for example, microservices and schema and serverless functions. We have lots of course, guys who do SAP. They know that we have lots of development frameworks. We simply couldn't cover that all in 2 times 2.5 hours, and it doesn't make sense that you expect that a single person certifies its knowledge in all those areas. So we had to narrow down this, because Extension Suite is huge and we have people and experts who deal with each of those categories. So we had to narrow it down. And for this particular session, we decided to do something which is the buzz topic recently, and which will probably be the main tool of choice for you when you start implementing SAP projects, and that's the Cloud Application Programming Model, CAP. So that's going to be the content of this session. Of course, as with every technology, you have a couple of let's say programming languages, for example, that you can use. So we will have to select one. In our particular case, it's going to be Node.js and not Java, for example. So we're going to make a couple of selections over there. And the important thing is you already see what's the value of the academy. Otherwise, if you were not part of it, you wouldn't really have the clear picture of what exact topics are going to be of interest for the certificate itself. So by joining the academies and going through the standard content, the first thing is you get informed about the exact topics and technologies, specific terms that will be of interest for the certificate. The certificate itself is going to be very, let's say, tightly coupled with the content that we cover in these academies. So that's today and tomorrow, 2 times 3 hours most likely. After that completes, the next, I think, is the 11th of November for you guys. If I remember this particular topic extension suite and this particular APJ zone, it should be 11th of November. 1 hour that you and I discuss all topics that you email to myself in the meantime. Of course, you can ask something in the call, but that's what I'm going to ask you guys. The first thing is that I will push in the chat over here my email address. So if you have a question, please email that one in advance, because definitely don't expect that I know all the answers from all different areas. As I already mentioned, quite likely you will hit something that I don't know how to answer. Please give me enough of time that I find somebody in SAP who knows the answer. So the email address here it is, my own email address. Just email the question in advance, certain number of days before that session, and I will have it compiled. Usually I get lots of questions. I have to compile it and provide ones which are the most, let's say, the most relevant for this journey. Of course, the questions should be related to this certification academy content and not some project related questions or something else. That's the idea of this topic. We're going to talk about the other channels. So when we finish this Ask the Expert session, that's not the end of your contacts with SAP, and the connection is not getting cut over there. I'm going to give you a couple of links for the groups where you can also post questions, and you have other SAP guys, experts in particular topics, just individual technologists like Fiori, or guys who do something which is enablement related about the test. You can post your questions, somebody will pick it up and answer. When that gets completed, you approach the certificates. So another thing that I want to mention over here, I'm not sure what's the exact, if there's any currently limitation on the exact date when you need to go with the certificate. So it's the, let's say that, I think we had some dates which are, I don't think there is any actual upper limit, but what I want to point out over here, and that's that you should go with these certificates in some point which is, let's say, nearest possible to these academies. Of course, this is something that you get like that as soon as possible. Deadline is like the standard thing in IT for everything that's requested from you. It's just that the idea of these academies was that we compress everything in these 2.5 hours. So you will listen to what I'm presenting now, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be quite exponential with the time that passes after these sessions, that you will be forgetting details because you all work in multiple projects. You're full of obligations. So I'm quite sure that in 2 months, what you memorize from this, it's going to be significantly altered. And I really wouldn't want you to go for a certificate with many months after this, because you can get quite surprised about how much you memorized. It's a very heavy topic, lots of different questions. You have to be very focused. And as I say, the goal of this academy was that we compress everything in 2 times 3 hours, because we have learning journeys. I'm going to show you the links. You could have done the whole thing without this academy, but again, people are stretched with daily works. SAP is probably not the only topic that you do. You have other things. So we're all stretched with too many obligations, and most of the people don't even have time to do the standard learning journey, which is a very well prepared one, but they cannot even afford themselves that much time. So we tried to compress it even further. So that we went with this format 2 times 3 hours. It's super compressed. Again, when time passes, you will definitely forget most of the things. What happened to some guy, like in a quarter before this or 2 quarters before this, I can't even remember. The tests themselves involved. These are, of course, BDP is in some aspect an unfinished product, because it gets altered all the time. The UIs themselves of the systems get changed. So we had a question where basically it was a basic check about, I think it was about authorization or trust management or accessibility, something like that. The check was, where exactly is that in UI? The whole idea was that we just check if the people ever logged into the system and has the basic notion of where that is in the system. What happened in the meantime is that it's the actual place when you deal with the roles. It changed. It's not in the users menu anymore. Now it's when you go to the main menu and security. And that changed in the time. Of course, the question were updated, but a guy joined the certification test like 6 months or 9 months after he did the academy. And from his perspective, he answered the question correctly, but his perspective was wrong at the moment, So that's like things like that can change. So that's like one ask that I have from you guys. You will get the template, the decks right after these academies. So please use the materials and do the certification tests in some near future, the nearest possible future after these academies. So let's see what else we have. This is another view to our timeline. Today and tomorrow, and Ask the Expert session that we discussed. Couple of basic things, like this is again not a hard requirement. It's just that we're not going to deal with JavaScript and heavy technical topics. We're just going to use code for illustration purposes over here. So it's not a coding session. Again, since Extension Suite itself is like probably the heaviest coding topic of all the topics that we have in the list, at least those that I'm teaching. It has to be around code also. But the idea is that we do not do any codings on this session. It's just myself talking, and then we use some code to illustrate, of course, what we're talking about. JavaScript, basic understanding of JavaScript and programming languages will be a requirement. So people who didn't do any coding before will probably have issues in this session. Also, some knowledge about cloud development and basic web technologies is required. As always, we cannot start from the dawn of the time and explain everything about IT. So these are, let's say, the main prerequisites to have for these academies. And we have lots of different profiles on these academies. It's not just coders that sit in this particular Extension Suite enablement. So here are the topics that we're going to deal with, like something general on BTP, then what exactly development with CAP means and what are the tools, what is the environment, and then we progress with the actual project, its interface and business logic itself that we built at the start, and then we cover a topic about how to talk to an external service from our code, from our very new CAP project, and this is where we end with the day one. Day two is when we try to do manual deployments. Again, definitely don't have time to wait for all deployments to physically execute. We just need to cover what's required to do with the deployments. Two different flavors of manual deployments. Then we talk about authorization and trust management. We move to CI/CD topics and the automated deployment. And then just briefly, we're not going to execute this one. We're just going to talk about what's required to have your system talk to S/4HANA Cloud directly. This is kind of, let's say, it's not that fundamental as the other topics, but it's really also mentioned. This is where we wrap up. So 2 days of yourself just laying in a chair and listening to what's happening, or eventually just listening to recordings of these sessions. This is where we finish with the academies. We meet in, how much is that? Like 8 days from when we finish, and we do one session, which is 1 hour long, that I just give you answers for the, to the actual questions that you've emailed me in the meantime. So that's another view to the timeline. Again, I've briefly mentioned the learning journey. So now I'm going to open this one. So what is this thing? It's the official SAP learning journey for SAP Extension Suite. It's very nicely prepared. So what we do in these academies, it's fully based on the content of this Extension Suite. So even if you do not manage to join these academies, again, you would be able to get all the knowledge in this link. What we did with these academies, we've tried to compress it even further. So if you sum up the times, these are just some rough estimates over here. Of course, in real life, it usually goes up. But if you sum up these times, you will definitely figure out it's more than 2 times 2.5 or 3 hours, because you have other contents. The idea is, as I said, we do the academies to compress this thing. So just look at how exactly the content of these learning journeys looks like. So I'm going to open one of these pages over here. the single one, let's say what could be interesting, for example, adding custom business logic. So here is how it looks like. It's like you have each click described, and every screen that happens, that like every resulting screen that you get in front of yourself, you have a screenshot. So all the things, all the steps you have very well described over here, click by click, screen by screen. So it's very hard not to understand. Things that you have like that we provided also, if somebody is not even satisfied with this, with the explanations that we got, and you have like, as I said, step by step over here, you even have something like this. You have a virtual machine instantiated in a specifically designated SAP BTP environment for this, where you have the guiding tool. It basically tells you what exactly you need to click, where exactly to click in your screen. So it says like, you will add custom business logic, and then add custom code. Click here, type something there. It guides you click by click. If you didn't manage to with the actual lesson with these detailed explanations over here, you have something like this: a virtual machine for the exact purpose. Of course, this is not your own BTP trial environment. At the very end, you want to repeat these steps in your own environment. But as I said, that's just another option. You have all those details, so just go through particular modules, whatever you need to execute, everything's described over here, all screenshots taken, every screen in front of yourself, you have even over here. So again, our learning journey is based on this. We're getting back to this particular screen, so this is what, like, how much time it takes over here. You can read the propositions. Everything we do is based on this learning journey. And you will get the link with the materials when we finish the session tomorrow. You will get all the materials and you will get the links. This is where the certificate is. So extension suites, it's 80 questions. It lasts 3 hours. You need to do 64% to pass. And for guys who would like to see sample questions, you have the module over here. Just click on that one. Read this when you do the module. So here you get a couple of questions that you will that you just as an illustration of the actual test. So again, the questions are not long log business cases that you have to read and provide descriptive questions, descriptive answers, which are of, let's say, relative correctness. This is short and point level questions, accurate ones. It's always the single data that is being checked. The same applies for the answers. They're always short. So it shouldn't be like long readings. Again, it doesn't mean it's trivial, because you really need to think what's the correct answer. But again, the idea is that we do not engage you with long readings, and you do it for 80 times, and you get exhausted at the end. It should be the point level questions which check your knowledge on a specific topic in detail. So this is how the questions look like. Usually, always you get multiple answers, and you just need to select one. So over here, you can read about all details which are relevant for the actual test. And this is like things like that. This is the basic, let's say, the division in percentage between different areas of the extension suite, and where exactly do those which area is like what's the percentage that a certain area is represented with in the certification test. So you can check things like that over there. At the very bottom, you get the link to apply for the actual certificates. We're going to talk about this more at the end of the day tomorrow in more details. We have to progress now. I also have to speed up, although it's very hard with these hours. So links you have over here, you select a specific term that suits you. It can be an on-site exam. It can be online also. We're going to talk about the propositions tomorrow. just use the link you will have in the decks, and you can read all the details. So this is where the materials will be. Link is over here. You just click on this one. I'm just going to copy paste this link. So just give me some time because I have to do it from the text. This is not, usually it tries to resist. So give me a few moments. So I copy paste this for you in the chat now. And this is where you will get the materials available after we finish our sessions tomorrow. Because I need to prepare it and some guys need to check it. That's not really the couple of steps. So let me just have this copied for you in chat. Okay, so the password is here. It's always for our materials BDP. It's not something which shouldn't be disclosed. It's a public material, but it's always BDP. The link is over there. Just click on that one. You can click on that one during this call. Please, somebody do that and just tell me if you cannot access it. It should be the externally visible. It's a public share. And of course, it's just temporary because this is just the way that we provide you with materials immediately after the sessions. When the whole, let's say the whole tour ends and we wrap up all topics, all regions, we will send emails with materials processed and prepared for everybody. You will get an official, well-compiled email in the permanent. In the permanent location. This is just so you get it in advance before that. So you can even, because it's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks for everything to wrap up. The folder is currently empty, right? And everything you need will be in these very decks, because if you notice, like all the links in the decks are over here clickable. So everything you need for this academy will be these decks, the very same decks that I'm sharing now, and you will get it after we finish the sessions tomorrow. In this particular URL, I see guys, lots of people saying that are able to access. So I will put the files there. The folder is currently empty. So let's see if there's, right, so this is something we're going to cover tomorrow. So now quickly, let's progress with the unit 1. It will be lots of different files, because if we put it to push this into a single deck, it will take minutes and minutes to load and lots of time to navigate between individual decks. So it had to be multiple files, and we're going to cover different units. For each of those, you will get a separate PDF, and I'm going to share those now. So one by one, we cover technical topics. And again, as I said, we have to be very fast and cover everything, not do deep dives, but just be sure that we informed you about all relevant topics for the certificate, and we get, let's say, the basic level of understanding of the exact technologies. So these are the steps involved. So what we will be doing after we talk about BDP as the platform itself, we're going to initialize a full stack project, the cloud application programming model, then create some data model which sits in behind our app, and then we're going to talk about how to expose the actual service, the web service needed for one of the key components of our app. Then we start with UI. We introduce basic UIs. We're not going to go with something which is UI coding, but we're going to help ourselves with technology like Fiori Elements that gives us lots of already prepared templates. This is the one here, this report layout, but that's not going to be the only one that we're going to use. Then we add some logic to our work, because not everything is located in the templates that we use. When that finishes, we go further. We're not going to read data for required for a data model from just from the from, let's say, comma separated value files that we have inside our own project. We want to talk to an external system, which is going to be the sandbox for S4HANA. So we prepare everything which is needed to talk to S4HANA over here, and we actually consume the data from S4HANA. Then we finish with day one. Day two is we do different types of deployments to Cloud Foundry with manifest and YAML and multi-target application YAML. Then when we finish, we cover topics like security and authorization and trust management. When that finishes, we create another, which is component of our own app, which is going to be like the let's say the proxy for our systems. Then we go with this is kind of strange, like adding app router over here is given as a separate step. Yeah, this doesn't even seem like a finished sentence currently. So basically, we just include that one into our components. We deploy app router also, the same as the other components that we prepared. And we talk about continuous integration and continuous delivery. The idea is that we also do cover automatic deployments because we don't want to do everything manually. That's not how I do it in real life. This is it. That's the list of technical topics that we need to cover. So let's get back to read mode here. About BTP account models. I'm going to try to cover all these topics again, just from the top level. BTP, let me just maybe start with the DAC, right? For this particular extension suite, it's even shorter, right? So this one over here, BTP as a platform is something which is the fundamental pillar of SAP Intelligent Enterprise, the main product that SAP delivers now, one of the main product that you help us to deliver. And this is also your place in the SAP story. This is where you join. So when you deliver the Intelligent Enterprise implementations, including all the technologies and components and layers which are part of it, BTP, Business Technology Platform, is definitely the key and fundamental thing. Over here in the deck is let's say the four main technical pillars of BTP. When I did this, like the last time I got questions from guys afterwards, like this is not really this is not correct diagram. It changed in the meantime. I mean, that's correct. This diagram did change, but again, nothing which is that fundamental. It was just reshuffled. Usually the marketing level diagram is with the application development and integration broken up in different layers. Doesn't really matter what's the marketing view of this diagram. The technical view of the technologies, the list of the systems is the same. It's what you see over here on the screen. The first pillar is data management. So it's about databases. Of course, over here, SAP HANA, for guys who have any contact with SAP HANA, it's basically the database system of SAP. It's a high-speed in-memory database, which was built by SAP. And again, you have like people usually have like the experience with databases is usually relational databases and SQL. Again, the point with HANA is, of course, is that SAP HANA is that you have everything in memory and it's a specific type of access. The idea is that you use hardware heavily, and the result is significantly increased speed of access. So it's a very, very famous SAP proprietary technology. Comes with different flavors. SAP HANA Cloud is the one that we will also use as part of this course. Again, the idea is not that we talk about databases. You have SAP HANA as a separate topic in these academies. We're just going to use it. I'm just briefly mentioning all the systems, so you just get understanding of all technical pillars that are of relevance for BTP. Data intelligence, that's one of the flagship products currently. does lots of things, but let's say it's a state-of-the-art data management solution. So you can do lots of things like data integration, data orchestration, data profiling, data cleansing. Lots of things you can do with on the data level, and it also uses HANA, but it's a technology which SAP acquired years ago. But it's a very robust system, and it was extended in the meantime. Pretty often used. Often, it's included in the SAP integration suite because it has also lots of integration suite capabilities. Again, I'm pointing out this is not carved in stone, so the idea is not that things get classified and 100% fitted into a certain category. All these systems are used with let's say, have different uses. The idea of this diagram is not to have the clear division. It's just to illustrate all relevant technical topics that we deal with when we go BTP. Other things in database management, it's like systems like master data governance that use SAP one domain model, and basically the task is that they sync master data between different SAP systems, because they of course use different data models in the background, but master data governance should give you the automatic syncing between systems. So if you really deal with something which is like business partner, then you have a system that uses one domain model, like let's say the sharing interface between SAP systems, and it does automatic syncing. We don't have time to cover each system, of course. I'm just talking about those. Analytics Cloud and things like the Warehouse Cloud or the BW for HANA, like let's say the previous system from the previous generation. Things which are relevant. Let's separate that pillar. We have, I think, even 2 different courses included as part of this effort, which pertain to Analytics Cloud. This is where we are. This particular pillar, and it's not everything in this particular pillar. What the suite and process orchestration are, we care about extension suite for this for today. So this pillar, of course, application development and integrations. Intelligent technologies, again, it's a buzz, a very popular topic in the recent decade. Things like artificial intelligence, of course, Internet of Things. Then intelligent robotic process automation. The idea is that you get like a technology that you easily automatize in scripts, boring and repetitive manual tasks that business users do every day. There are other things over there. So again, that's not a topic of this course. We have separated courses. We are in the SAP Extension Suite. The decks are organized, let's say, in a certain way. The guys who built the decks found the most appropriate. But let's say that what I want to do now with you is basically just show you the environment. It's not just the Business Application Studio. What I'm going to cover with you is the actual BTP trial. So this expired. For myself, it's going to be a BTP trial, and this is putting like additional stress on us for this specific quarter. My own BTP trial is getting phased off for SAP internal users, so I will not have the access anymore, but you will have it. So for myself, I get a certain step. I think it's 15 days that remain. It should be enough for these academies in this where this specific content is. There are other offerings for BTP. But I see already some services being phased off for myself, so that could pose a problem with accessibility for everything in this course. But let's say that at least from the level of propositions, everything should be okay. So this is how BTP looks like, the homepage when I log in. Over here are some quick tools. SAP Business Application Studio is definitely the key one. So that's the web-based integrated development environment for you guys who are coders. That's quite important. I do many other things, not just coding, but you will pretty often do use this link. And when it loads, just give it a few moments to load. We're going to talk about each of these dev spaces. I'm just going to open a single one now, so you see how the environment looks like. The idea is that you have something like Visual Studio Code in your local machine. You have the same thing in the web, provided by SAP. It's not the only option. I've just mentioned Visual Studio Code is another one, for example. You can do everything from your local. What is the difference? The difference is that when you use the web flavor, then all the dependencies that you have, for example, Node.js packages or npm tool like the Node package manager, like the client tool and the everything you need to talk to the repository, or like CDS tool itself that we're going to use heavily in this as part of this project, because when you want to test something, we use CDS testing server, right? So we don't have things immediately deployed to Cloud Foundry. We do testing, so we use local server. Then we use something which is like a command, which is basically term CDS watch, and we run the server, test something on our own local server. So all the systems like that, you will get all that automatically installed and set by SAP. If you use your local environment like Visual Studio Code, then you have to install each of the packages on your own. So that's the main plus for myself, why I constantly use web environment. Why some guys don't like the web environment is, of course, that if I just leave it like this and I talk for 15 minutes and I go to grab a coffee and get back, well, the session will get expired and then you need to reload it. For some people, standard coders, the guys who do like those hard coding, that could be a problem. So I've seen lots of guys also using local environment, Visual Studio Code, and all the, let's say, the toolkit that goes with it. They install everything manually once or two times, or like, I don't know how often that needs to be refreshed. And that's the technology of choice. So the web-based integrated development environment, it's you experience which resembles like desktop experience. That's the idea. It shouldn't be like long waiting, so you can definitely try it out, test it, give it a chance. It will surely be one of the main tools that you have in your arsenal. So the link you had in the homepage, it's over here, and of course we will be using the Business Application Studio. So another thing is like the command line interface for BTP. So you will need that one for sure. APIs for SAP BTP, this is just an extracted link of the exact APIs that one will need if he wants to interact with the platform through APIs. That's not part of this journey, but you have, let's say that those are some most frequently used links are given over here. Tutorials, the basic ones that you need, the most useful ones, you see like Cloud Application Programming Model, then something from ABAP World, RAP. I don't know if you have something for microservices and serverless functions over here. Or the other topic, basically you have Tutorial Navigator, use it over there. These links at the bottom are quite useful. I just want to spend some time over here. I don't want to use this. That's what I always try. I don't want to have people just educated in clearly technical topics, because we need you really becoming part of the SAP world. So things like the Discovery Center. So if you never used it, guys, so check this one out, please. So this center, next to the other topics that it gives you the catalog of missions. So it should be like, like almost most of the relevant topics in SAP world, you navigate through over here. You just select the mission and you open the mission, and then you get like step by step, click by click, everything that needs to be executed, guided by SAP. You start a mission, so every click, every screen, you go through all the details, you complete it, and Then you get, just let for a single sign-on to work for myself over here. The best possible explanation of what something is and what you need to do to go through all this steps. So I will not execute that one now. So here you have the list of missions. So no time to do that. So the idea is missions, click by click, with illustrations, and you learn how to do something in SAP world. Of course, you use searches. Discovery Center is, let's say that it offers other topics. We're going to cover those. There is another portal that I would also have to developers SAP.com that I would also want to have you aware of. And again, it's the same format, missions. So this got a bit reshuffled in the meantime. Let me just see where the missions are currently. Probably under tutorials. Let's say ABAP. Here it is. Like, for example, this is how you start with ABAP development on-premise, and then you go with a specific mission, and then you do click by click over here. You probably pretty often end up in missions like this if you start with Google and you go with you Google some specific SAP topic and it guides you to a specific mission. Again, click by click, screen by screen. You click everything. When you click done, the other content is going to get available. Missions, but this is everything you need for SAP developers. Discovery Center gives you a broader picture. It's not primarily focused on people who are coders. This is something for coders, so just use search. This changed a bit, I would say, in the last quarter. So search any topic, almost anything which is relevant for SAP world. Click, but you have separate missions and they guide you through this. So you're not alone. So people build it. There are thousands of people in the world who have the same questions and tasks as you do. SAP built very detailed missions, so you know how to install a certain plugin for or a certain, like, let's say, module for the Business Application Studio, some of the extensions. You have a mission for that one, click by click, and you know how to do it. So you have the links below. Community, very important for us. So this is where you can ask questions, get lots of different contents. So it's not just the portal that we put over there and doesn't really serve the purpose. You will get lots of help over here. You can post questions. You can get links to different blogs. This is your, like, you can talk to other people as yourself in different forums. People who are also partners to SAP experience the same problems. So you can share experiences over here. So community is something which exists for longer. Partner Center is probably something that you're more from myself. This is basically the partner portal, like the entry point for partners. I mean, you probably use it more frequent than I do. And this is how you access SAP systems. Everything that you need for partners, it's like the single entry point. Just check the content. It's at the bottom of the page over here. It should be for myself. It should be single sign-on with a company credentials. I see it's not currently the case. SAP Store is where you can inspect and eventually purchase and download all products built by SAP and by SAP partners. Learning Journey, the one that I've mentioned to you. So everything is linked over here. The important thing for myself is as always, we are late, especially with the SAP Extension Suite. I'm quickly progressing to my own trial account, so I'm the BTP cockpit now. So everything I need to do for my BTP, whatever task I have inside of BTP, all the systems, the instances, the services, the configurations, entitlements, my users, sub-accounts, global accounts, everything I control from BTP cockpit. So all the other technologies and individual systems like Analytics Cloud, the idea is that you have it in the form of services. I will tell you in a few moments what is what is this thing that I've exactly clicked on. As I said, everything in BTP is a service. So if you go to the services marketplace, for example, let's say that this is like the integration suite course. So what I usually start when I do integration suite course, I usually start with activating the integration suite service over here. So things like cloud integration, API management, open connectors, that's all combined in a single service, which we call integration suite. So you simply create that one, activate that one from your marketplace. If you want to use it, other systems are of interest are over here. For example, continuous integration up here because of the keyword search that we just did. This is the one that we'll need for this specific journey. Everything in SAP is a service, so you just find it in the marketplace with a few clicks. So this create option is just, if you say create, it's just going to offer you a couple of basic configuration steps. It's mostly the service plan, which is like a pre-configuration of the service. Something like, for example, t-shirt sizer, which gives the basic configuration properties to our system so we know what exactly you want. So you just instantiate a service, and then in the instances and subscriptions, you get the things that you really activated. For us, it's the Business Application Studio, something that I've activated before this call because we definitely need it. So I've just made sure that we have that one activated. Anyways, the activations are quite fast, almost instantaneous. Things like HANA Cloud, I've activated this one in advance because it takes some time for the whole HANA Cloud database instance to get installed and wired up to my own particular account. So it takes some time, not too much, but again, I did a couple of things in before this call, so I just check everything's working. So things like instances, you have it over there. So we're going to talk about environments in a few moments. Let me just check what I have over here in the text that I want to cover specifically. Well, not much, but I definitely want to bring a couple of topics because before we go for a break, and every hour we will try to make a break. Again, not full hour. The idea is not that we don't be super precise. The idea is that we make, let's say, an approximate hour breaks after we logically complete something. But the idea is that because I talk very fast pace, and trust me, I can do that faster if it's not 5 a.m. as it is now. So it's like it can be very tedious for you just listening to a single guy talking incessantly, lots of new topics. So you will get quite bored after one hour. Everybody's already fed up. So we have to make some breaks. We're going to make 2 short breaks so you grab some refreshments, and we are approaching the first one. But let me just have complete some basic guide about a BTP cockpit. The thing that I want you guys to notice is that this menu on the left side, it depends on the context. It's like it's context based, so it's not fixed. If I click, for example, on my own global account over here, the menu changes. So the options that I see now, this is basically, it relates only to my global account. When I get into a certain sub account, the sub account loads. Nothing that I see over here on the screen, that's of course something that pertains to my own sub account, but options that I see on the left side, that's again sub account related. So what is the global account? Let's say that global account is something that corresponds to the contract that you have with SAP, your BTP license. So global account is not something where you physically build code. This is your BTP. Let's imagine this one as a correspondent of your BTP license. So when you purchase something from SAP, a certain amount of, let's say, entitlements for a specific service, that sits in your global account, your contract with SAP. And then inside of your global account, you create individual sub-accounts. Over here, I use BTP trial, so I don't know how many sub-accounts I will be create. Of course, it's just a single global account that we use because that's a single license, BTP license. but I can create a couple of sub-accounts. I'm not sure what exactly I can do with BDP trial, because with BDP trial, everything is quite limited, of course. Over here, I have a little one. So the sub-account is the main isolated unit that you will be using. So you create a single sub-account, you choose your provider. As you will probably, we're just going to briefly mention that in these 2 days. Over here, it's Amazon Web Services. This is where my system is hosted. It's not only SAP centers because SAP centers definitely cannot scale as large hyperscalers like Amazon Web Services and people who are specialized in that area. So we have a very tight partnership with Amazon, for example, or Microsoft or Google Cloud, other providers also. And we usually, when you do things like cloud application programming model, then you will be using sub-accounts hosted in hyperscalers, which can scale significantly better than SAP-owned data centers. So that's going to be an option. So you will create a sub-account, and then just couple of things like the display name and the region that you always need to select for my BDP trial. This is, of course, just 2 things. Currently, it's Amazon Web Services in US and Azure in Singapore. So again, this is just for my BDP trial. For a productive version, that's going to be a significantly larger list of choices. This is it. When you finish with this, you click create and you've created your sub-account. Inside of your sub-account, so sub-accounts are isolated, so there is no data sharing between the different sub-accounts. Security is provided by SAP. You build your own applications in your systems inside of a single sub-account. So over here, inside of a sub-account, again, the topic that gets of interest is different environments. What I needed for this particular course is, of course, the Cloud Foundry environment. Cloud Foundry environment, as everything else is BDP, is offered as a separate service. The mere fact that I've already activated a couple of things before this call, because I didn't really want to do everything from scratch. In this call, although many things we will do from scratch, Cloud Foundry runtime, you just activate that one from here, and this is it. So I didn't do anything special. I was just in my sub account over here. Just give it a few moments to load. So let's just get back to the main panel for the sub account. People who do Cloud Foundry, some of you guys over here have some experience with Cloud Foundry before. Some of you have lots of experience. Some of you none. But the spaces that use the development spaces inside of Cloud Foundry, this is the list over here, and you will be able to create a space from this particular screen. Kima, again, quite another environment that you can activate inside of your sub account. You can, as everything that's optional. It's all based on entitlements and the type of license that you have with SAP. As I already mentioned, you have entitlement for a specific service on your global account, and then you decide the left side menu over here with the entitlements, how exactly to divide and organize those entitlements and the amounts of that you have individual quotas for specific services between individual sub-accounts. So if you have a certain amount of instances purchased for a service, then you can say, I'm going to use 3 instances for the sub-account 1 and 2 instances for the sub-account 2 because I purchased 5 altogether. So things like that, entitlements and specific quotas on sub-accounts level, you set over here. Again, as I say, for this particular sub account, I've activated the Cloud Foundry environment and the Kima environment over here. Kima is another topic, very interesting for Extension Suite, but again, not part of this course. So guys who specialize for things like that's basically microservices and serverless functions that we talked about. It's like Schema is basic. It's built on Kubernetes directly. It's an again, it's the container virtualization, but this one is like that's an SAP proprietary technology that was given to open source in the meantime, and it's let's say that the main use case for this one would be you that you have a possibility to extend already existing monolithic SAP systems with some microservices and serverless uh, functions capabilities that you add to the actual system by using Kima. So that would be one of the standard use cases, and there are others, of course. So we'll not use Kima. I've just activated that one. ABAP environment is another environment which could be interesting. I don't know if I have it that one activated here. I have like a single instance as part of I can activate it, but in this specific case, I didn't do any configuration for it because we need Cloud Foundry. So environments you activate inside your own sub account. We will be using spaces. Again, that's a Cloud Foundry term, or specific only for my own Cloud Foundry environment, which runs inside of this in this individual sub account. Let me just see if I have something which I think is like very important that we have to mention now. Everything else we're going to cover later. So instances that's already mentioned. Over here, you check everything that you have. Not at the moment we don't have time to talk about the account mode. That's again a topic which is a BTP level. We need to progress with this. So guys, let me just see. It's 5:11 a.m. for myself. 10 minutes, 5:20. Let's just make a break, grab some refreshments, do a bio break, have some rest of my voice, and then we have to progress as always in IT. We are late. So see you in 10 minutes, guys, and we'll continue. Thank you for being patient and listening attentively.
Recording stopped.